Coming off a big 34-7 win over Millsaps on Saturday at War Memorial Stadium, had a number of recruits out there. They must have liked what they saw.
Well, I hope so. We'll find out after the rubber meets the road. I'm never kind of got to see the whites of their eyes in August. So hopefully it did resonate well. I mean, we got to play in a big time environment, and we love playing there. We appreciate everything that the War Memorial Committee and everybody does to allow us to be able to do that. And obviously with our people here at the college as well, it takes a coordinated effort by everybody from the SID department all the way down to the athletic department to everybody because it's all hands on deck operation. And especially for the baseball team really does a great job for us because they serve as our ball boys, they serve as everybody's extras. We try to repay the favor in the spring, but it doesn't take quite as much as an operation to get that off in the spring. But we really appreciate what everybody does to allow us to get to play a football game.
Did you expect to be that dominant running the ball?
We wanted to come in and obviously establish a run. That's the recipe for every week. But in the last few weeks, Millsaps has been giving up a lot of rushing yards. I mean, they're playing opportunistic defense like I talked about last week. And, you're able to gash them here and there. We were able to bust a couple of those runs. I mean, I thought all of our running backs did a great job. We missed some cuts here and there that could actually put that total a little higher. But, we were able to manufacture first downs, and then we were able to get some big plays out of it, especially the big run by Rayfield, which was we saw that about to happen. It's like if we can just hit it right and we dial up the right time, then we're going to split the defense and get 6 out of it. So, I think that was a really good job by our offensive staff and obviously Rayfield for outrunning everybody. But I thought it was a good effort. And again, I think our offensive line has played better this second half of the season and gotten better every week. And again, it's one of the recipes for success in our league and for us is win the rushing battle.
Rayfield Conley's 61-yard touchdown run was the longest for the program since 2019. What do you think that did for his confidence, being able to break it?
Well, I think that anytime you have a running back that gets their feet underneath them, no pun intended, but to be able to do that and showcase what they've done, especially as a freshman, because that's what we saw on video that he could be able to do, and to actually get out there and do it and run away from everybody, that just puts that shot in your arm. Like, yes, this is exactly what we were talking about when we recruited you, and yes, we expect that from you and that kind of thing. And then I think that our upper class backs as well have paced those guys to do well as also because I think AJ goes in there and he runs as hard as anybody. I mean, he's a ball of razor blades and he can stick it in there. And then I think it even filtered down to Chase. Chase makes really good cuts and kind of hides behind the offensive line and it gets north and south. And he made a couple backdoor runs that we haven't seen in a long time either. So again, I think it's just starting to come to fruition. All of our young players and along with our offensive line playing better and I think those things are starting to manifest into positive production on the field.
Tajay White with the 77-yard punt return for a touchdown in the second quarter. It was the longest in school history. How happy are you for him to have success considering he's been doing so well on kickoff returns all year?
Well, I think Tajay is one of the best return men in the conference, and I think he showed that again this weekend. Unfortunately, we've gotten him the ball too much this year in kickoff returns, but it was actually great to get him to return a punt. And I think that was really the turning point in the ball game because we had struggled with our PATs and so we didn't. When you do that, you're 2 scores ahead, but you don't feel 2 scores ahead because of that negative connotation. And then to be able to kind of outdistance ourselves with a special teams play, and those are the kind of things that really turn games on their end. And I think that just again made that separation, like you said, and we were able to kind of outdistance ourselves at that point. And then we were able to kind of control the game the way we want to control it from there on, and put pressure on the quarterback and put pressure on them to have to go faster and to score faster. And again, I think that really was the turning point in the ball game because we also had the ball in the red zone a couple more times and squandered some other opportunities. So scoring a big play like that was, I think, huge for our whole team.
Matthew Skurdo became the program's all-time leader in pass breakups. Considering he's played so much football over the course of 4 years, how happy are you for him just to establish himself at the pinnacle in that category?
I think it speaks a lot because, he's played since the freshman year, and we rotate a lot of guys too, but he has played probably more than the other guys, and knock on wood, he stayed healthy through the whole 4 years, and to be able to have that record, I think shows a lot for him and his persistence, because, a lot of people saw him coming out of high school as a guy who was too small and maybe not fast enough on a 40 time, but what they don't measure sometimes is the ability to compete. And when you're in a one-on-one situation, or it's you the receiver of the ball, I mean, it's who wants it the most, and he does a great job of tracking that and getting the ball out. And so for him to have that record, I think that's just an exclamation point on his career. Still hoping that he might want to come back for another 10 games so we could extend that lead a little bit more, because again, he is one of the best DBs in the conference and has been for 4 years.
You now turn your attention to Sewanee. It'll be the first time that your team has ever played an opponent for a second time in the same season. Just speak to how new that of an experience that is for you, and what can you take away from the first game, which was a Hendrix win?
Well, I think that's a multi-layer approach to talking about that, because in one aspect, technically we're playing a lot of our teams 2 times in 1 year because we played in the spring. But the other part of that is I don't feel like Sewanee is the same team we played. It's the same name of the team, but it's not the same team we played, because they've done a lot of really good things, adjusting how they approach the game, approaching how their offense is playing with the players that they have healthy. In one aspect, yeah, it's good to have some confidence because, yes, we beat this team earlier, but it's also a false positive because, I don't think we're playing the same team we played in week 3 or 4, whatever that was at this point. It seems like forever ago. But, again, just like last week with Millsaps, I think it's a good matchup. It's a really close matchup because they've had a lot of injuries, had a lot of issues, and then we've had the same thing. So in the big picture, it's really similar, again, in terms of a good matchup. But I really think that in the big picture, yes, you have a little bit of confidence because you did it before, but then you can't allow that to be a false positive, because I really feel like, they have played really a lot better the last few weeks. I mean, they ran for 400 yards on Millsaps, and they always play good and hard on that last game of the year at Sewanee. And we've played the last game of the year at Sewanee plenty of times. So the one thing I am looking forward to is, I mean, it's going to be, fall football weather. It's going to be 45 degrees, the north wind's blowing, the leaves will be changing. It'll be a picturesque scene for college football.
Their rushing defense on the season giving up 276 yards per game. Last time you guys played them, you guys ran for 337. And I know you talked about establishing a run against Millsaps last week. Is that kind of the same formula for this week as well?
Yeah, I mean, being able to outrush this team is going to be huge because, one of the things that they're doing to help themselves is to, they get a lot of different sets, and they were a spread team when they came out before. Now they're more, trying to be in 12 personnel, or I would venture to say a lot more wing T type stuff to try to do some different things to give them the opportunity to shorten the game, to give us less opportunities to have the ball. So, that has helped them tremendously be in the ball games that they've been in the last few weeks, and then they've played it extremely hard. They're guys that are playing hard, and I think Coach Rundle's done a great job of continuing to keep the morale up, even though they haven't had success, because they have success individually and group, and they've been a lot like us in times where they have had good things happen, but they can't stay consistent over time. And so, and even in our situation last week at War Memorial against Millsaps, we did some good things, but there were still some things we weren't consistent with that we still got to shore up this week. So, but the big thing is, like you said, it is establishing a run and being able to get out there and really dominate on the line of scrimmage, because that's what they want to do to win the football game. So that's what we've got to answer with to be able to win the football game for us.
You talked about their individual successes too. Their defenders are in the top 5 in tackles. How do you just kind of combat against those guys?
Well, hopefully we can get a body on and block them. I mean, the best thing to do to keep a guy from tackling is to block them. last time I checked. Or if not, we got to read them and make sure they don't make a play. So, but again, they had some guys that played really well against us. They just didn't have collective success at times against us. But individually, they've been able to do that, and it's just a matter of time before they start piecing that together and do things together better. And again, they've chipped away at that the last few weeks, and I think it's going to be a really tough fought ball game over there because of it. But again, yeah, it's being able to isolate those guys, or to get those guys as read players, or to get those guys, get guys on those guys to block them.
Mm-hmm. And then opponents have 19 attempts on fourth down against them. Is that just kind of a product of teams getting in the plus side of the field and just going for it?
Yeah, they've had a lot of opportunities. I mean, yeah, they've been we're all those kind of teams where we're pretty. Our league is pretty opportunistic in terms of being across the 50. We're probably all going for it most of the time, unless it's unless we're way ahead or way behind. So if it's a ball game, we're probably going for it. We're probably going to be aggressive. That's no different than them as well. I think that's kind of indicative, probably more of football in itself, of not giving extra possessions if you can steal it from them. I think also early in the season, they played Washington Lee, which that's a triple option team, and there was some fourth downs in that game that are fourth and short, and they're going to give the fullback dive and keep rolling. So number might be skewed a little, but I mean, we're in that situation too, where if we have a shot to get it, then we're going to be able to get it, and we're going to play aggressive.
And then teams are committing the third most penalties against Sewanee, so I guess the thing for you guys play a lot of clean football, obviously.
Yes, and I think that's always the case. I mean, you always want to try to play as clean as possible and not put ourselves in a disadvantage. Last week, I thought we had too many holding calls, and they were justified. We did not hold. I mean, but we've got to be able to get our hands inside. We've got to move our feet, and then our backs got to get to the place where they're supposed to be, so that we don't put our guys in a position to hold sometimes.
And then once you get their defense in the red zone, there's a pretty good chance of putting the ball in the end zone or kicking a field goal.
Yeah, we feel like we do have a good matchup in the red zone. Obviously, Chris is a big target, and he had a big game against them last time. And because if you're able to establish the run and you're able to get those things going, then it's again harder to get a guy over the top of them or play extra people over the top of Chris. So hopefully we can get those one-on-one matchups and win those again this week. It's always a when you have a player that's ahead like that, and unfortunately we didn't get him a touchdown last week to stay on pace to break our record, but when you have a guy like that, people have to deal with it. So just like when their situation coming up, and they're going to play a couple different quarterbacks, they're going to play some different things, and then how are we going to respond to that and deal with that and those personnel packages. So that'll be the chess match of this week, I reckon.
Finally, what would a win in the last game of the season do for your team's confidence heading into the offseason as you prepare for 2022?
Well, I mean, there's no tie, so it's either win or loss. So somebody's going to win this week, and we want to be that team. But I think everybody is again trying to be the best they can be, and you do want to go out as a winner to have confidence going into off season. And we've approached our second half of the season that way of really this is preseason for next year. And I know Coach Rundle and those guys, they're approaching it the same way because they're trying to get better and they're trying to prepare for their upcoming seasons because they have a lot of young guys and we do have a lot of young guys in our two deep as well. I'm not by any stretch saying the seniors aren't playing anything because they need to go out as hopefully as winners and to be able to establish that for themselves and be proud about that. I know Coach Rundle will be saying the same thing. It'll be their senior day. It'll be a big day for them. And again, trying to honor their legacy and what they're going to leave behind because you want to leave it better than you found it. And because no matter who wins this football game, us or Swanee, that senior class is going to have a lot of pride going forward on what becomes of the next few years. just like, our class was a freshman class 4 years ago, when we had a tough year and had a lot of injuries, and we were 2-8, and then we turned around and competed for a conference title 2 years in a row. So, that senior class can be really proud of that, because that's still something that they instilled. And that's the same thing with our senior class or Coach Rundle's senior class at Sewanee, because it's what they're going to leave for the next group coming up. And so it's a lot bigger than just whether or not you're winning a football game. It's a lot bigger than, whether, it's just bigger than just the game itself. It's again, getting your football program better and how you're going to leave it for everybody else. And obviously everybody wants to leave on that win, but really and truly more than that, I just want to see us play our most consistent game, play our hardest, and leave it all out there, and whoever's better on Saturday wins the game.